Those of us who own a small business are self-reliant. We're driven by freedom, by choice, by ownership. Small business people are optimistic, the kind of optimism that's rooted in a great idea. We can create jobs, we can create wealth, we can make the world a better place.
Small Business 2000 with Hattie Bryant.
The founders of this country were small business owners. I am convinced that every adult American has an idea for a business. We take the risk believing that this idea will work. When you have your own business, you're free to act on those ideas. So we can't just do the ordinary, we have to do the extraordinary.
Small Business 2000 is made possible by support from the U.S. Postal Service. Its 95 business centers and nearly 40,000 post offices providing smart solutions for your small and growing business. And the Edward Lowe Foundation, championing the entrepreneurial spirit by providing information, research, and education experiences which support small business people and the free enterprise system.
Hi, I'm Hattie Bryant. If you want to understand more about the mysteries of starting, running, and growing a business, stay with us. The person you'll meet today is definitely defying the odds. Gary Walls is bottling up a little bit of Oregon. Also, I'll take you to Mary Bithel's farm. Her home-based jam and jelly business is shipping to customers all over the country. Bruce Camber, our strategist to integrate business planning with new technologies, will help us cut through cyberspace and use it to grow our business. What you're going to experience now is a master class. This is not a class taught by a teacher like in school with a test and textbooks. This is an experience. You will meet a small business owner who has mastered many of the aspects of running a business. This way you can learn not from academics, gurus, and journalists, but you can learn from a person who has already done it. A former coach whose mom is his hero has traded a football field for a field of berries. Do you love boysenberries but the seeds stick in your teeth? The horticulturists of Oregon have invented a berry that tastes better than a boysenberry and has no seeds. This is the Marion Berry. This perfect little fruit is the inspiration behind Trailblazer Foods.
The state of Oregon, I love this state. I think the people in it, we're very close in terms of our businesses and very much a team.
Gary Walls, the founder of Trailblazer Food, loves his home state of Oregon, and he wants the whole world to taste the Marion Berry and the other farm products grown in this beautiful place. Gary makes jams, preserves, syrups, toppings, and pie fillings for restaurants and specialty gift shops. With 40 employees and $12 million in sales, Gary is thrilled to be in a brand new building and is growing his business by developing new products. So right now, today, how many products are you manufacturing?
I think today we probably manufacture 100 more than we should, but we probably manufacture 140 different items that we manufacture.
Wow.
Here.
Okay.
Marion Berry was the first one, then we got 139 more.
We drove about 1 hour south of the Portland airport to find the Kramer family farm. Even though Gary owns a small farm, he buys most of his berries from farmers like Ken Kramer. You are the primary supplier of Marion berries for Gary, right?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about this farm. What else you do besides the Marion berries?
We raise strawberries and evergreens, lots of fruits and vegetables. Strawberries, Marions, evergreens, corn, zucchini, cauliflower, broccoli.
Christmas trees.
And Christmas trees.
Okay.
We're a large family farm.
Did you ever consider getting a job and going to an office somewhere?
No, never did. I've always wanted to grow up on the farm, and I grew up on the farm, and I've worked with the people all of my life, and that's where I wanted to stay.
So what is happening this year? You told me about earlier that's kind of stressful. And that
we've lost approximately 60% of our Marion berries because of a winter freeze that we had. Normally this whole trellis system would just be solid green and there'd be fruit spurs coming down.
Okay, that means Gary's going to have to pay twice as much for the berries.
As long as it can be twice as big. Sure.
Gary's wallet's got to be twice as big. That's right.
Gary's
No,
what's going to be twice
My
as
wallet's got to
big?
be
Your
twice
wallet has to be twice as
Twice
big.
as big.
But you're not making any more money.
No.
It's just not
No.
there.
Right.
So that's one of the biggest obstacles in growing and being a farmer.
Primarily, the biggest obstacle we have with the Marion berries and a lot of our crops is the weather. We're at the mercy of the weather
Yeah.
with all of
So
our
you
crops.
do everything you can do to make your business as efficient and productive as possible, and then hope
Right.
you get the best
Hope
weather.
and pray.
And that's why you have pews in
That's
your
right,
office.
that's why
they have
there's
church
pews in them.
pews in their office. They never need to pray a lot. They got a place to sit. Gary, why are you in this business? Can you think back to when you first fell in love with berries?
I think the very first memory I have is my grandmother and grandfather had a bean farm, and I'd stay there in the summertime. And we get up very early, and my grandmother and I would go down. She put her bonnet on, and we'd walk down to the bottom, and there were some raspberries. And the fog was kind of coming off the fields. It was beautiful, and we'd pick some berries, and we'd go back, and we'd put cream, and still raspberries are my very favorite fruit. But I remember that vividly, and I've always loved berries. When I was younger, in Salem, where I lived, we picked berries in the summertime. That was a means of making money for school clothes, and I enjoyed doing that. It was a challenge to see how much I could save during the summertime, so I could have some things for school. And berries has always been part of my life.
Well, when you picked them, did you eat some of them too?
I was probably known to eat more than anybody else. I won that prize. I never won the prize of picking the most, but I usually could eat the most.
When did you start cooking and developing recipes with the berries?
Oh, my mom, she was a cook at the Delta Gamma at Willamette University, and so she was a wonderful cook, and she was very inventive about canning and making things, and I just loved the things that she made, and I watched what she did, and just had a knack and a love to do that too, and it was fun to do some creations with different kinds of berries and things.
But
So
you're not a farmer.
I am. We have a small farm. I saved a little money over the years, and we bought a blueberry farm. But basically, the fruit that we use in our business, we buy from the Kramers and other growers in the area. We aren't the biggest supplier of our own fruit. We buy it from other growers.
So when you come out to this field, you feel like it's yours?
I feel like this is mine. I had been a teacher, trained to be a teacher and a coach, and I had done so for 20 years. At the end of my 20th year of teaching, I had a kidney failure, and my sister was nice enough to give me a kidney, loan it to me. And 2 years later, I had a transplant, and it gave me a new opportunity in life. And being on rejection drugs, it was difficult to go back to teach because of my immunity and being around people. So I expanded on my other sideline, which was growing berries and making jellies and jams. And I began to expand this business of Trailblazer Foods in the last 12 years.
You have to take medication
I do.
for the kidney transplant to keep working. What are some of the downsides of that?
I've never thought too much about the downsides because the upsides are so tremendous. I mean, the upside is I'm here, we have a business, I have a wonderful family, I have a great life. That's the upside. The downside is that you tend to get skin cancers, you have a very low immunity and tend to get infections, tend to be tired sometimes. And so there are side effects. But, I mean, I think all of us need to look at the positive side. And the positive side is I have 12 years of a gift of life that I would not have had. I have a business, I have wonderful people working here, and everything about my life is great.
So you were doing the thing you loved, teaching and coaching, and the doctor said you can't do this anymore.
Right.
What was your first thought?
My first thought, I was very depressed. I loved teaching, I loved coaching. I loved working with kids and young people and hoping that something you did made a difference in their life. I also was realistic to know that I had 3 sons, they were going to be going to college, and that I had to move into another direction and not be thinking in a negative way, but thinking in a positive way. What is it I like to do? And I like to work with berries. I like to do this kind of a business. And so I moved into that type of thing and put my energies into a positive approach to what I wanted to do.
But you didn't go get a job.
No, I never have had a job. I've always just been paid for what I like doing. And teaching was, people say, well, that's a job. And I would say, it's not a job if you like it and you get paid. So I really have never had a job because I've always liked what I've done. But no, I didn't have a job, but I had a dream and had an idea, and I believed in what I did, and my family believed in me, because I think over the years, the things I have done in terms of my work have been successful. And so they believed in me, and it made it easy and support for me to continue on.
Okay, but wasn't the startup a little sticky in regard to money? I mean, was it a little, there's no money at the beginning?
No, it just meant that my wife and I, Joyce, we rented Ryder trucks and delivered stuff to Costco in rental vans. We had to deliver ourselves. We had to do lots of times with shoestrings that we tied together to make it work, and we just grew with the business. And it can work if that's your plan.
So you started strictly with your own savings or something?
All our own savings. I think our only capital into this was $1,000, and the rest of it was from earnings that we have. I've always been told that earnings is not a way you can build a business. For me, it was the only way. I mean, there was no banking at that time. There was no opportunity for funding, and so earnings was all we had.
The
That's all I
retained
knew.
earnings is all you had.
All we had to work with.
So what was the first recipe you stirred up?
Well, the first thing I did, I was Mr. Elmer, Walt Elmer. He was a wonderful man. He owned a chain of some breakfast restaurants, and we had our coaches meetings there. And one day he asked me, he said, "Gary, would you like to come and supervise kids at night cleaning?" And I said, "Yes, I would." So while they were cleaning and I was supervising it for a little extra money, I went in the kitchen and I made some Marion Berry syrup. The very first thing I made, because I noticed he had purchased some syrup from another company, from another state that wasn't Marion Berry, and I thought, maybe I could make something like that. So I made this sample. And Mr. Elmer was so particular, I knew that I made one sample and I poured it into 3 different jars. So when he tasted it, I knew he wouldn't like just one. So I made one sample into 3 different jars, and the next morning when he sampled it, he didn't like the first one, too sweet, didn't like the second one, it was too tart, but he liked the third one, which was all the same recipe. And so he said, "I want to serve this with my pancakes." And so there was an application to the use of the Marion Berry syrup. So that's the first thing I did.
So wait a minute, let's stop here. Your very first thing you stirred up, you had a businessman who was in a position to use it, get it into the marketplace, instantly tell you, "I like this."
It was, gratification immediately. He says, "I like it." And I knew when he said, "I like it," he meant it.
So you got a feedback instantly that you had a good idea, and that's probably what gave you the confidence to say, "I can do a business." Do you see what I'm saying?
It was a confidence in that, and it was also the confidence that if you like my Marion Berry syrup, you're going to love my strawberry compote.
Because you've already made that a lot.
So I made, the next day I said, on your waffles, for your Belgian waffles, how about fresh strawberry compote with real strawberry juice? So that's the next thing I made, and he liked that. And it just kind of, I looked for places where I could make something that they could use.
All right, so was he your first big customer?
My very, very first customer.
Some small business owners make something they personally love and then go sell it. What you're saying is, you look at the restaurant, you looked at Mr. Elmer's and said, he's using syrup from another state. He needs Marion Berry syrup. So you started thinking that way from the beginning.
I did. There are some things that I like personally that I make for myself, my wife makes. I don't think that generally the public may or may not like that. I think you have to find things that the public wants, things that they would buy that bring them back. For me to manufacture 5,000 cases of rice pudding without any customer base, it would be a crazy thing to do. So I've tried to avoid doing those kinds of things. I've really stayed, I think, pretty focused on what customers want, what their needs are. And many times at food shows, we'll put out something new, see what the attitude is about that particular product. Mm-hmm. And particularly in gift packs for Christmas, come up with different ideas, see what people's ideas are on that.
But you test on a small scale.
Test it on a small scale, get
even
ideas.
Your other ideas, you find something that restaurants may like, you create it for them, and if they like it, then you'll go make it for them.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you pre-sell it.
And I love to go do research. I mean, you got to eat every day.
You have to eat
so it
everything
says, I love
inside.
the research in this job.
Okay, how did you hire your first key person?
First key person was, I believe the first key person was our fullback. I mean, one of the players I had in high school. He always came to practice. He'd given the ball. He never fumbled it. He always remembered his plays. He never came to practice late. I said, that is the kind of guy I want working for me. He never fumbles the ball. He doesn't come to work late. He comes with a great attitude. I mean, those are characteristics that you want employees to have. And so if you can transfer from that to your job and say, this is our standard. This is what we want our employees to be. And that's kind of how I started. And so really the first 3 people I hired were all students, players.
Okay, and you had a long-term relationship with
they're still here.
him. And then your new accounting person, a relatively new accounting person, you found him because?
He was in my sister's, whose kidney I enjoy, in her Sunday school class, and also a good friend of my nephew, her son, who's also an accountant. And he said, if you're looking for somebody that really knows the computer business and accounting, Peter would be great. So I called him and came to interview, and we hired him.
Okay.
Hiring people is difficult because you never know until they actually show up and do their job. And so that's really been a hard part of the job. So to find the right fit for the job is a challenge. And I think sometimes if you've had a past history of knowing something about them, is nice.
That's a piece of advice you would give?
I think when you hire people, just an interview, it's difficult just to interview somebody to come out with, they're always on time, are they dependable, they're not going to fumble the ball. Those are things that you know about somebody. I don't know anything about business. I think what God has given me, I know a lot about people.
I can feel that people love you. Why do you think that feeling is here? What are you doing? Can we put it in a bottle? Can you sell can you sell Gary's positive people strategy?
I think because I love them is the answer. I mean, you give, it comes back. And I think I've gone to the wall with many of them sometimes, and they've had various situations where they know they can come into my office and talk to me. And I truly do love my employees.
So often when we meet the head of a growing business, they tell us, you can't grow a business without people. In fact, Darby McQuaid taught us last week the only way he was able to expand locations was to hire people who had already worked in retail operations with multiple locations. Gary believes the only way to have a great business is to have great people. In fact, he told us he doesn't know anything about business, but he does know about people. As a coach, he would select the players, teach them the skills, then inspire them to do what it is that we're supposed to do during the game. He's approaching his management of people in business in the same way. He never saw himself doing all the jobs. He's never been caught up in the quagmire of doing all the work. His job is to find the right people, teach them the skill, inspire them to take action, just like he did as a great coach. In addition to seeing himself as a coach, Gary genuinely loves his employees. We can't bottle up his love of people like he bottles up syrup and send it to you. But maybe we could all put a little more love in our life. I have a friend who says life is for living, laughing, and loving. Maybe we can put a little more love for people in our business.
It's time to go to the internet. Let's go to Oregon Department of Agriculture. Gary Walls loves Oregon, and he loves what Oregon Department of Agriculture is doing for the farmers of Oregon. They're spreading their products around the world. When I looked at Gary and Trailblazer Foods, I asked myself, what's unique about this operation? And I think the most unique part of Trailblazer Foods is Gary's gentle spirit. If you ask the people who work for him what they like about working there, it's Gary. They all love this man. You'll find happy people. Your staff, your colleagues, but especially your first hire are all very crucially important. And how you manage people is going to determine the future of your business. Come with me down into our home site and down into the corner on Business Basics. Within Business Basics, click on Subject. Look down a little under Employee Relation Benefits. There are over 20 articles that address building a team and having happy employees. If you are operating on your own, it may be time to consider hiring that first person. It's a major, major step. You'll become a member of one of the most important clubs in America. You will have created a job for somebody else. You will know when the time is right, but don't hesitate to hire somebody. Take the leap.
For free information about starting or growing a business, give us a call, 1-800-449-9309. And come visit us on the web, sb2000.com. To fund the construction of his new building, Gary got an SBA-backed loan. Most of us would guess that the majority of small business owners would take advantage of programs provided by the Small Business Administration. New research shows that 63% of small business owners have never dealt with the SBA. Gary's not the only small business owner shipping Oregon berries around the world. Mary Bithell, along with her husband, owns Bithell Farms. She showed me the biggest blueberries I've ever seen in my life, and she let me eat as many as I could. Mary is a farmer first and a manufacturer second. Most of the fruit she raises goes to others to process, but she is building a new business based on a family recipe for freezer jam. Just like all small business owners, when she was faced with a problem, she found a solution.
Well, we had a product, and we wanted to use this box because our product would fit perfectly inside a priority mail box.
Okay.
So we went to Lori and Doug Caldwell at
The business
the
center.
business center at the post office and asked them what we could do to help ship our product. And they suggested developing a carriage. We wanted it to get there relatively quickly. And we had used priority mail before for other things, and it worked quite wonderfully. And so they
There was an
were my first thought.
Okay, so if people are watching this or dying to know what freezer jam tastes like, how do we find you?
We have a mailing list. We put people on the mailing list, and they can simply write to P.O. Box 222, Boring, Oregon, Bithell Farms, and we'll send them one of these cards that shows the options for buying the jam.
Tell me, how long have you lived in Boring? Are you bored in Boring?
I'm not bored in Boring. We bought our property from Less Boring. We lived next door to Will Be Boring. There never was a more boring.
Meryl Streep said, "Take your heart to work." That's what Gary does, and it's good advice for everyone.
If you've had kidney failure and you know what it's like to be on dialysis, when you get up now in the morning and you feel good and your feet hit the floor and you can wiggle your toes, it's a good day. It's really a good day. And I think that once you have come to that kind of part of your life, and I think all of us will at some time, then it gives you a greater renewal and appreciation of your new life. And so the energy, I'm out of energy, but I'm full of energy because I'm excited about being able to have an extended life. So I'm tired, but I'm not tired. I mean, I'm excited. Physically, I'm tired, but I'm mentally excited to be where I am. Success, you know, you can measure it so many ways. Successful with this business, yes, but I was successful when I had my paper route and I had an opportunity to, if you sold 10 subscriptions, you could go to the Pendleton Roundup. And so I went around, I got my 10 subscriptions. I got to go to the Pendleton Roundup the first time I'd been away from Salem. Went to Pendleton on the train, and on the way to Pendleton, on the train, the only thing they had were beverages, cold drinks, nothing to eat. So while I was in Pendleton, I bought 2 boxes of Hi-Ho crackers. And on the way back, I had something to eat, but I noticed other kids wanted to have some of them. I said, well, I'll sell you some. So I was selling them 2 for a nickel, and I came home with these 2 big pocketfuls of nickels, and I was a highly successful businessman. So it's just a different level of success. Everybody is different. Everybody's style is different. You need to be who you are. If you try to be somebody else, it's not going to work. If I read a book that tells me how to be a businessman and I try to follow that and be different than who I am, I'll lose my focus. And my focus is to be who I am. And who I am is that I count on other people to be involved as a partner with me in our business. Be yourself and be all you can be. And I think if you do those 2 things, success is yours. When I was very young, I grew up with a single-parent family, a brother and sister, and it was commonplace that if you wanted something, you had to go out and have an extra job, paper route, picking berries, whatever. And we were not poor, but we were broke. We had a wonderful family that we had, but we were broke. So I always had another job, and I always looked for another opportunity to do something. And I think there was a lot of drive that you build up within yourself, a lot of competitive spirit to succeed and to be like others. And so I think that was the main part of my drive. And of course, my mother was my hero. She was a very hard worker, a very wonderful person, and always wanted to be like her. And so in some ways I am.
Just remember, when you wake up tomorrow morning and you can wiggle your toes, jump out of bed, and make your dream come true. If Gary can do it, you can too.
You know, it's kind of like falling in love. You know, when you fall in love, you know what's right. I feel that way about what I'm doing. It's not a job, it's our business. And making fruits and jams and preserves, I love doing that, and I like sharing that opportunity and that skill with the people who say, I love that jam, or thank you very much. It's very thrilling. And that's something that you can't earn, you can't buy it. It's just a reward that's part of your job.
Next week, we go to Priest River, Idaho, to see a small business owner who has established himself in the telecommunications equipment business, and the Chinese love to buy from him.
Small Business 2000 is made possible by support from the U.S. Postal Service. Its 95 business centers and nearly 40,000 post offices providing smart solutions for your small and growing business. And the Edward Lowe Foundation, championing the entrepreneurial spirit by providing information, research, and education experiences which support small business people and the free enterprise system. For free information on starting or growing a business, call our toll-free number, 1-800-449-9309.
And to order my book, Beating the Odds, or the companion videotape, call my office at 1-504-737-0076. You have to feel if you don't do this, your life will not be complete. Learn today, earn tomorrow.